Hello everyone.
Record.
Hello everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to the GIS Context Online Training Camp. And today is the last day of development group training. Okay, let's start. First, let's take a look at our training schedule. Yeah, we can say during the last 6 days training, we already finished the development of 2D part. And yesterday, we finished the part of prepare the 3D data and publish it as a 3D service using a server. And today, our last day training will be show the 3D scene with space map using iClient for WebGL, and we want to achieve the function of click to query attributes in 3D. Okay, let's go to the step document. First, we need to download the Supermap iClient 3D for WebGL package. And this one we need to notice this package is different with the iClient. And for downloading it, you can use this link directly, or you can go to, or of course you can go to the 3D WebGL. Yeah, you can go to the 3D WebGL and examples. Yeah, and you can download the product here, which is this link. Go to iClient 3D WebGL and click the download button. And on your side, this page will be in English. Okay, and after we download the product, our package will look like this. Yeah, that will be this one, the iClient 3D 10i 2020 SP1 for WebGL and English. And when we go to inside, we can see there are some folders. The first one is the build folder, and inside of this folder we store the source code of iClient for WebGL. And we can see there are some system, and the WebGL is based on the system. What Supermap did is to allow the original system to load the iServer 3D service, and this is the build of WebGL. And next is the docs. There are some documentation about the WebGL, and the examples. Here inside of the examples and the WebGL folder, we can see there are a lot of HTML. Every one of them is one of the demo, actually it's the same with when you see it's the same with the demos in the web page. And for example, we can see there are a lot of examples. For example, how to load the oblique photogrammetry data, and how to load the oblique photogrammetry model with water, and the fine model, and the beam model. If we click one of it, it's similar with iClient for JavaScript, the 2D one. We can load the 3D scene, and also we can check the source code inside of it. Okay, and it seems because of the network issue, and if I open the Zoom and connect the VPN, it's kind of hard for me to open this kind of thing. All right, and after we download it, what we need to do is we need to put it. We need to this is our package. And we need to copy this package to iServer web apps. Yeah, here I already copied it here. We just need to copy it here and rename it, because just only because this name is too long, so I just rename it as iClient 3D, which is in the same folder with iClient for JavaScript for the 2D one. Okay, and the differences between the iClient 3D for WebGL and iClient for JavaScript is actually for the JavaScript, it allows us to run the HTML using the local address. To remember the first day I mentioned, if we double click at the HTML directly, if we double click at it directly, then it will be the local path. But for the WebGL, if we want to load the scene, for example, I click one of the HTML such as S3M tells, then there will be an error, which is the rendering has stopped. The reason is the system or WebGL required to use the normal path, use the internet path to open the 3D scene. So we cannot use the local path to open it. And for example, like this one, if we replace the earlier with localhost 1890, then iClient 3D example WebGL SRAM tells, and then we can see here we can load the 3D scene successfully. So that is the differences. The WebGL require to use IP and port format to open the page. Okay, and then this is how we open the HTML file inside of the package. And today, what we are going to do is we also need to create one HTML inside of this folder. For example, here in my this is my code editor, right? And I already add this folder as iClient 3D, and instead of examples, WebGL, and there are a lot of HTML, right? So we need to create a new HTML file and give it as cadastral 3D, and I want to name it as day 7. All right. So after we create it here, we can start the coding. So before that, first you can refer to the step document, and you can just copy the code to your code editor. And but if you want to add some new function, you can go to here we can see the network is not good, but for the earlier example, I already opened it. And when I click one of the building, then it can show the attributes of this one. And this is based on a beam module. Okay, so we can find it before we start the development. We can find the code. We can find the related example from the WebGL examples, such as the S3M is this part telling us how to load the different type of data, like the point cloud, the oblique photogrammetry module, the underground pipeline, or the beam, and others. And then we can add the vector tail, which is in the MVT format, and we can base on the dynamic layer to achieve some moving object function. That may need a few time. And also it's supposed to load the online based map, like the being map, the SKT Turing data, and others like the different function of scene, such as the moving light source in the beam, and the split function. That is, we can split the scene into two parts, and the different parts can load the different parts can load the different scene, but they are all but we can connect them, we can operate them with like we can operate them at the same time, something like this, right? Yeah, and for the traffic simulation, we already start to load them, and yeah, the model is still loading, and we can see here we can add some. Oh, yeah, so we go to inside of the building. Here we can see there are some moving cars running in the scene. Okay, so this and also in the source code we can get all of the source code of this demo, how to achieve it. All right, and for today's yeah, there are also some others like position. When we click one point, we want to get the position of the click point, and the search, the attribute search, and these are some spatial query information. Yeah, like get feature by geometry, get feature by geometry, but the computing method is based on the GPU, and based on the skyline to do the spatial query, and some others. And also the measurement, we can measure the handler and draw 2D and measure the 3D and cut and fill analysis. And for the 3D analysis, we can achieve a lot of them, such as this is the flat line analysis and the view sheet analysis. Here, let me show you some of them. Okay, such as inside of this scene, we can see there are some buttons. Sorry, that's in Chinese, but it's you can just try to click them. Like for this one, after we click this one, this is to add a viewpoint, and we already add a viewpoint here. And this button is to add the target point. And based on that, we can see we can analyze whether we can see the target point from the viewpoint, and from that the visible part will be rendered by green, and the invisible part will be rendered by red. Okay, this is based on the points to do the view analysis with the visibility analysis. And next is this one that is based on the this demo is based on the view sheet to do the visibility analysis. Let me refresh this page. Okay, the model needs some time to load. And for others, like the shadow query, that is, we can based on the sunlight to do the query, and you can see the point. If this point can get a lot of sunshine, then it will be rendered as red. And if it is inside of the shadow, then it will be rendered as blue. And the different color means the sunlight, how much sunlight it can get. And also the skyline, that is to generate a line between, that is for generate a line between the model and the sky. For others, like profile, that is to draw a line and get the profile of the model. And and based on the terrain, the slope and aspect analysis, or clip the building. So you can find all of the necessary demo you can achieve from the iClient from this website. You just need to input the iClient.supermap.io and then go to the 3D WebGL and the example. So today we are going to only show our 3D scene, and we want to achieve the function of click to query the information. I think that is this. Sorry. Yeah, that is this one, the beam model. Because after we generate the cache, all of the format of all of the module will be in the S3 MTEL. And inside of this layer, inside of this demo, we can see we can click one of the attributes and get the information to query the attributes of each. So in the beam, it's different because the beam model is very detailed, and we can go to inside of each. We can go to inside of it and query every object of this model. Such as for this store, I can click it, then get the information, the attribute information of this store. How to go to inside? Yeah, and we can get the information of this store. So it's not so we can based on this to achieve our code. Yeah, now we back to our code editor, and actually here I already make one of each. So since this part of code is not much, it's not hard. So I will based on this HTML to explain to you directly. Okay. So first we need to load some CSS, and yeah, give it a title as Cadastral 3D, Cadastral Management 3D. Yeah, and first we need to give it some reference as the CSS, the style file, and also we need the jQuery, and we need to load the require.js. And inside of this require.js, it will call the reference from system directly. And in the body, first we need to have one div which to put our 3D scene. That is similar with the 2D. To remember, in the 2D here, we need to define a map, right? And this is the div to contain the map. And in the 3D, it's the same, and we give it the ID of system container. And another div is the ID is bubble. Actually, it is for the pop-up. And inside of the pop-up, and yeah, we also set some style of it. And inside of the pop-up, we need to set the torso. And this torso is the button on the button inside of the pop-up. And then this one, and then we need another div to contain the content of the pop-up, which is table container. Okay. And now we go to the script part, the JavaScript part. First, we need to define a viewer, and this viewer it should be the class of system.viewer. And before that, we need to use the function of unload, right? We need to use the function of unload. And this unload function is after the page loads the system, it will run from here. So our code is start from here. First, we need to define the viewer as the system.viewer, and the parameter is the ID of our div. The ID of our div. And then the first step is to add the being map image layer as the base map. So the being map is actually it's similar with the JavaScript one, but we need to based on the viewer and set the viewer.imagery layer add imagery provider. And this provider should be system.being map image provider. And we can set the URL and map style that is which being map we want to load, and also as well as the key. For this part of code, we can easily find it from our samples, which is here. Like we need to define the viewer and just set the imagery layer, add imagery provider, and then define the scene, and the promise. The promise is it means the content of the scene. And in order to load our scene. Actually, from this part, we already finished it. Let me comment the other content first, like this, and we can go to our code. Yeah, here I already add one, which is we can see from the URL that is localhost 1890. This is the IP and port of our iServer. And inside of the web apps, we put it in the icon 3D examples WebGL cadastral 3D.html. And inside of this HTML, I just refresh it because I modify the name as cadastral management 3D. And it will open the scene, which is the same as 2D, which is the same as the iDesktop actually. After we publish it using iServer, we can see the same thing from it. Okay, and until now, this thing will be, it is the same with earlier the thing we opened in the iServer page, right? And we already can see our building and the base map here. And of course, if you want to like improve the scene, you can create the different color for the different buildings, just like what we did in the in our 2D code. Let me run it. Yeah, like this. All right, and next, let's continue. In the 3D part, we still want to achieve the function of click the button, click the building and query the information. And we can take a look at our iServer page in the service 3D real space scene and view it. Yeah, in the iServer page, if we already load if we open it in the iServer page, and when we click one of the building, we can see on the right side, there is already one information box appeared, right? It's like this. And here it only shows the ID, of the building. And we need to modify it with our code, and we want to show it as a pop-up. Okay, before that, what we need to do is we need to set the data service URL, and when the promise already been loaded, we need to based on the layer. Yeah, this layer is we get it from the scene, right? We need to set which layer in the scene we want to query. And for the layer name, we can get it from the iServer page in the cadastral scene, and then layers. There are two layers. The first one is our building layer, and the second one is the terrain. So we just need to copy this name and to put it here. And next, we need to set, based on the layer, to set the query parameter. For the query parameter, here we need to notice is we need to use the data service to do the query. And because the 3D service doesn't support to query the attributes. So that is based on the ID we need to set the URL, which is localhost 1890 iServer services data cadastral workspace and REST data. Yeah, that is the same with edit data URL in the edit.js, the data URL, right? Okay, and we need to specify the data site which is corresponding to the 3D scene, the data source name and the data set name, and we also need to set the keyword, which is we based on the ID to do the query. And next is yeah, for this part, actually it's the same. Actually it's the same with others. If the thing cannot be opened successfully, then there will be a prompt to show like field to load SCP. Please check whether the network connection status or the URL address is correct or not. Yeah, and after that, we need to set the pop-up information. First, we need to get the pop-up container, which we define it as info box container, and that one is from the div of bubble. That is from the div of bubble, and we need to set the viewer.custom info box as our info box, which is as our div, because we need to like forbidden the default info box on the website and then use our custom info box. And next is we need to construct our pop-up content. Okay, first we can get the tab from the div, which is here, the tab container, and the ID, and inside of it there is a table, and the ID of table is tab, right? And then we can give the viewer as a pick event, add event listener. When we click the function, when we click the building in the layer, we will go to inside of this function. And inside of it, we just first we need to show our pop-up, and then we need to set the different. We need to set the attributes from the feature. We can say the cell to the inner HTML is the feature key, the value of the feature, and the name is the key, because we use the key in var key in feature. Okay. And actually this is similar with earlier when we construct our pop-up. And this part of code is to define the function, the click function of our pop-up. Like when we click the let me show you directly. Let me refresh it. Yeah, when we click the building, actually now we already can get the information of this building. And here are some buttons. The first one is the side button, which is here. The side button, yeah, that is here. When we click it, it will set the class of this bubble of our pop-up div, and remove the class of float and also add the class of bubble. Then it will, when we click it, this pop-up will be on the site, and when we click it again, then it this now it's site, and also if it's on the site, it will be the pop-up, and the title is defined by ourselves, like the site is here, the pop-up is here. So we just based on the CSS to control the position of our pop-up. All right, and it's the same when we click the close button, then it will hide the div of bubble, right? When we click it, it can be shown, and when we close it, it will hide the div. So like this one, it's the same. If we put it on the site, then if we click another building, the attribute information will be changed, and it can show all of them, like the name, the type, the height, the app class, and the code, the OSM ID. So that is totally the same with earlier. Yeah, and for now we already achieved this HTML. This is an independent HTML, independent page to show the 3D and to show the 3D scene and to query the building. So, and next is we need to combine them together. Like for example, in our 2D part, here we can add one new button on the right side to open the 3D scene. Add a new button to open the 3D scene. So we can go back to our HTML code, which is just context, right? And then we can find our toolbar. Here is this is our toolbar, and we can add a new button, like and show it as the different and show it in a different icon, which is from our step code, and it's here. The add 3D button into the application toolbar, and the class should be the graphic icon global. All right, and we can go back. There is global. Okay, and now let's take a look. Now we already have a button of global, but and then we gave it the function of open scene. We gave it the function of open scene. For this function, it's very easy to be achieved. We just need to go to the toolbar and search and define the open scene function. And when the user click this button, we want to achieve the function to open a new window. So we can use the window door open, right? And inside of it, we need to input the URL of our 3D page, which is this, like this. All right, and let's take a look at our example, at our application. So when we click the 3D scene, then the browser will open a new page to show the 3D. We'll open a new page to show the 3D. So and inside of it, when we click it, we can get the attributes of every building. Yeah. Until now, all of the content already been explained for this application. Let me show you the functions. Let me show you the application from the beginning. First, we achieve the query to, we click to query the information, and inside of the pop-up, we can modify the name and or modify the geometry of this building. When we click submit, then the information will be stored inside of the database, right? And yeah, and if we want to edit the geometry, we can click the edit and modify it like this, and then click submit. Then this building will be modified like this. Okay, and next one is the measure distance. When we draw a line, and we can get the distance of this line, and it's the same, the measure area, then we can get the area, and the fourth button is the clear, and the next button is the full extent. When we click it, the overmap will go to the full extent. And next is the search. When we input one of the keywords, we will get the query result of the building, which name includes the keywords we inputted. And there will be option and selector. And when we select one of it, we can go to this building and to get the information, and also we can achieve the edit and submit function. For the last button, That one is the global. When we click it, we can open the 3D scene of our data. And then on the left side, we can based on the type to query the land use. For example, the forest or the industrial. Then we can get all the land use by the type. And for the building, here we can achieve the function of add a new building or delete the existing building. Like if we can give it the ID and add a new building on the map. Okay, and yeah, this is the building we added, and we can choose to delete this building, and we can modify. We can based on this to modify the spatial database. Okay, until now, all of our training has been finished, and from the first day to the 7th day. And after that, I hope all of you can submit your development results to the Google Classroom. And we give you the deadline of 2 weeks. That is before the 20th of June, which is next Sunday. We will check the Google Classroom submission, and we will based on the submission results to give you the certificate and email them to all of you. All right, please let me know if you have any question.